Okay, thank you so much, Dana. And my sincerest apologies. Um, I didn't have power, but here I am. These are the problems of the global south, and especially in our informal settlement. So today, as I was going about my daily routines, I was asking myself uh, several questions. And yes, we usually have these very nice presentations about informal settlements. And the question I was asking myself is, what do people out there think about Asram? People who have never ever visited our slums. And to the outside world, Asram is a place where there's poverty, the drug addicts with thousands of challenges. But to me, Nicera here, it's where I wake up every day to the sound of life, where I share tight spaces with other families, but also the unbreakable bonds. Unbreakable bonds, and Asram is not just where we rock. It's a place where we create. It's a place about what we create, the resilient communities, and hope in the midst of hardship. And also, I asked myself a question about the topic we are discussing. So, how relevant it is it as a person who is living the informal settlement? And I didn't know how to answer this question because this is truly a technical, like the technicalities of this topic, the research, and even with their presentations, you can see the graphs, you can see what's the beautiful pictures, but how do that translate to me? And I can for sure say, yes, it is relevant if there's community involvement. It is relevant to me if there's transparency, because if I can ask, yes, you've presented, so where can I find that data? How do I translate? Like, is it can I be able to understand whatever you are presenting as a community person? Yes, maybe I can understand, maybe I read through, but then what about other community members? Can they be able to understand the language that is being used in this academic research? Then how about the privacy and the consent of this data? It is data about us. It is data about our informal settlement. It is data talking about me as Nicera, who is living in Kibra. So is my privacy my privacy protected? Or maybe if I am asked a question, I'll see myself somewhere in a billboard in the West countries. So these are things that I've been asking myself, and how we can be able to work together in collaboration, making sure that community involvement in whatever you're doing, however technical it is, we also have the knowledge. We have the capacity to understand when the language is localized. And let me say, the bottom line of all this I'm saying is that yes, this topic, yes, whatever you're doing is useful, it is helpful, but if this is done ethically, transparently, and in collaboration with communities, otherwise, this can also be like another top-down academic exercise. So let me continue by saying that I am the founder of Community Mappers. And in Community Mappers, we are helping communities understand, analyze their own data, advocate, because we cannot just be collecting data and we are not advocating for anything. Therefore, we better just stay at home. So we are bridging the gap between the communities and the academics. And we've conducted several researches, like the trash study survey for informal settlements in Kibera, understanding the dynamics of our informal settlement in terms of the trash. We have also gone further to map out the river riparian, whereby currently, as I speak, we are under threat of eviction. And some areas they've already been evicted, and with the help of Monica here and Dana, we've been able to help the communities even map themselves, because we have seen scenarios whereby the government is coming with their team, and instead of mapping 30 meters, they're extending to 35 meters. So when we capacity build the communities to be able to map themselves, they can be able to say, you are evicting the 30 meters. So how comes you are past 31 meters? How comes you are past 32 meters? So that is the kind of capacity we are giving to our communities, not just us mapping. It's also helping the communities know how to map, helping the community be able to advocate, because we've seen a lot of improvements. We have seen a lot of whereby with now the kind of data we are collecting, because we take it back to the community to verify it if it is the right one. So the community will go to our stakeholders with the data, and they can be able to say, okay, we need such and such if, for example, it's an hospital, if, for example, it's the issue of housing, the eviction, they can be able to talk for themselves, not as community mappers talking for themselves. Yes, we are in the community, but then we need a broader, perspective, and also involvement of the community in whatever we are doing. And maybe lastly, because I know I came late, so I don't want to speak a lot. So I can say yes. We have had quite a number of challenges, and I can say that communities are not counted, and the government can just wake up and decide where to evict, because every data, when you look at the city, when you look at the city and whatever is happening in the ad observation, the enumeration, the profiling, all these things are being done in our slums. But then somehow we get exposed. The government is we didn't know in Kibra this slum is extending. We didn't know in Ravington there's a slum. So let us go for those people. Let us evict those people. So they treat us somehow like trash. Let me say that. They can decide they can evict us anytime they want. And also, let me say, in terms of policies, the government thinks that we cannot, we don't know what policies are. So they can't engage us in when they are developing those policies. So, and I truly sometimes get mad, and I can say that we need presentation in terms of everything that is being done. Let's have communities. Let us have even when these policies are being developed. It is important for us to make sure that communities' voices are heard. Even in this technicality, in this data, because in this whatever you've been presenting, for instance, yes, it is technical, but we here, we are ready to run each and everything. So thank you so much, Dana.
Well, thank you, Nicera. I would love to actually open it up for some comments and questions and stuff, because I think that was very powerful and well said. I'll just clarify in case anybody didn't catch it, but Nairobi had massive floods last summer. Like, they have floods every summer, but these were extra climate kind of exacerbated flooding of 3 major rivers. And a policy that's been kind of in the works for some time to clear out a 30-meter riparian zone on both sides of all these rivers was kind of like quickly put through and passed real quick. So now, actually in the days after those floods, there was already mass evictions taking place across Nairobi in those, for people who just had lost, you know, who'd just been flooded, whose neighbor had just floated away inside of a structure. Nicera and Monica, I think you guys actually quantified numbers of people that were evicted during the like first days after the floods last year. But those evictions are starting again, and that's what Nicera is talking about, is knowing exactly where that 30-meter riparian zone is. Like people inside, like young people in community mappers were saying, my house is actually not inside of that zone. So I have the power to advocate for myself, and anybody who wants to come, I can actually show them a map that I made that shows that I deserve, like I have the right legally in this new policy framework to stay here. And that was really empowering. And I think that's kind of like some helpful context for what Nicera was saying about, and Monica's saying in Lagos as well. So that's, yeah, Monica, maybe you want to jump in with what there's been some ongoing support. So Nicera, Monica and I worked on some projects together, and we did some trainings in Lagos for other communities who are living in informal settlements, with Nicera being kind of a translator of a lot of the training materials that Monica and I were attempting to make accessible, and Nicera actually made them accessible to other community groups, learning how to map and use other tools. And in the process, we got to know people across 40 different communities, informal settlements in Lagos. And we visited two or three of them. And one of those communities is in the process of being evicted now. And so when people in our networks, you know, in the Idea Maps network start experiencing an eviction, what they do is they, you know, start texting people like Ryan, myself, Maxwell, Monica, hey, we need some maps. We need to document what's going on in real time. In the past, we've been able to mobilize some student support. Unfortunately, for a bunch of us, we're fighting a lot of other fires right now. So we ended up linking the Lagos group that's being evicted with some other colleagues in our mapping in the Idea Maps network. And some real-time data was evolved over the last few weeks. I think I have a slide of it at some point, and I'll try to show it later. But Monica, if you wanted to say anything else, I'll open up this link. And again, we've got about 15 more minutes, and I think that we'll just like kind of let people kind of sit with some of the discussion so far and ask some questions. I'm guessing the chat is alive. But Monica,
maybe just I try to keep short. I think one strong point was a colleague of Nicera was saying he felt so empowered as he could finally map himself to understand whether he's part of the eviction zone or not, which in the case was luckily not. And then also having a map in the hand to say, if the government comes to my house, I have at least a proof. I'm not in the eviction zone. And together with a PhD student, so I have to name him because he's spending nights on trying to produce maps that can support in a moment the fight against eviction, or basically documenting the eviction happening in Lagos, which is affecting 15,000 people. So 15,000 people lost their houses. Is our colleague, they're using it as maps in court cases because they don't have other ways of proving the existence, the massive amount of structures, houses, homes, assets, everything, services all lost. Apparently these maps were already effective in previous court cases in Nigeria to get at least some compensations.